Good morning. So it looks like we're all in self-isolation right now. So I've taken advantage of the time to not get out of my pajamas. And today I'm going to work on some spinning. So I thought maybe I'd share some of what I do with you. Now, if you're like me, you like to get these fiber boxes that come, you can buy by the month or whatever. But sometimes they only have like little samples of the fiber. So what do you do with that? Well, I have a little basket here of fiber samples. So you can see they're lovely fibers, but they're just little samples. Some are a little more, and some of them you get a fair sized bat with. But this is 1 ounce. So you're not going to be able to make a whole lot of yarn with this. Some of them are even less. You get just a little teeny braid of them. It's cute though, like they're lovely colors. So generally what I do, rather than card and blend and futz around, is I just do a core spun yarn. See, this one's a little tiny, a little bit of alpaca. There's a bigger braid, that's 1 ounce. So what I like to make is a nice fluffy yarn that I don't have here. There it is. Hold on a second, I'll grab it. So I do a core spun and then I apply it back on itself to give you this fluffy, bumpy kind of fun yarn. These are just samples I knit up with some of the stuff I've made. So I have a very nice mohair core that I use. It's very fuzzy, so it's grippy for doing core spun. And I buy it in bulk, as you can see, from Colour Mert Yarns in the UK. They buy out end of lines from garment manufacturers. They have plenty of stuff and they have awesome good sales. I'll leave a link below so you can check it out for yourself. Great place to get yarns from. All right, so now that we've discussed what I want to show you today, I'm going to get my wheel set up, change the camera around, so next thing you'll see will be we'll be ready to spin. All right, so I think we're all set at the wheel now. So here's some samples of what I've done. This one is a core wrapped singles. Now the reason I like to ply is you can see it's very hard to keep the twist down so that you don't get these little curlicues. Now this one I've done an auto wrap on it with some silk thread. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's got a thread wrapping around it randomly. There, now you can see. So I'm not unhappy with it. I love the fluffiness, the randomness of the texture. I think it's quite lovely. So to get a more balanced more balanced yarn, I ply it. So this one is a core spun plied on itself. And you can see that it's like fluffy and fun, and there's little bits and bitties all over. And you can do this with any fiber prep. I had some lovely sparkly roving. Can you see the sparkles on this? There we go. Which makes for a really fun yarn. So I'm here at my wheel. I have a Lendrum. I use my plying head to keep my speed down. So on my slowest whirl, I've already got her threaded up here to get started. So here is what I'm going to use for my core. This is my mohair. Now this mohair was finished with an S-ply. So what I'm going to do to keep my core from snapping is I'm going to spin my singles S, which is going to untwist this a bit. But then when I ply it, it won't be over plied. So I'm going to take this and I just put it on the floor beside me because it's a cone, makes it easy to work with. And I usually just tie it onto my leader. And now I'm going to get my twist built up in my leader first. So S twist is counterclockwise. And you can see, maybe right there, you can see the colors. The angle is like the letter S. So it goes this way, S twist or counterclockwise. So I've got that twist built up in my leader. I'm just going to stick that on there for a minute, and I'm going to pick my fiber. So I have this little bit of a fiber braid left over from a fiber box. I picked out some of the other colors to use in another project. So you want to make sure your fiber is loose and fluffy, so you can just give it a snap. If it's not too badly compacted, that's usually all you need. So when you're using a nice top, you spin from the end. So we're going to, if you're spinning counterclockwise, lay your fiber on top to let the twist catch it. If you're spinning counterclockwise, lay your fiber underneath for the twist to catch it. It just makes it easier. So we're going to go on the top. I'm going to let the twist catch the fiber, and you draft straight out at a 90-degree angle and let it wind on. Now you can see that it's not, you have to really work to make it fluffy. You have to like wind it on slowly to get those big fluffers. So to make it easier, what I'll do if I'm working with a top is I'll take a chunk, fluff it all out, and then I will spin from the fold. I don't like to have my finger in it when I'm doing this because I like to get the yarn started or get the fiber started. Then I like to make this nice mesh. So I pull off the side rather than from the tip, and then you get effortless fluff winding onto your core. You want to make sure you're treadling very slowly or you'll end up with way too much twist. And I use a fairly strong uptake. I have Scotch tension on this, so adjust however it is so you have a pretty firm uptake, so it will take it onto the bobbin quickly, so you're not building up a whole pile of twist. So this is how you do it. If you're working with a top, this is how I do it, just to make that nice mesh coming off so it twists on fluffy and bumpy. And then as I get to the end, it's not quite as fun. So let's add a little bit of yellow. So we'll just yank off a piece, fluff it out a bit, fold it over, fluff it a little more. Okay, so counterclockwise, lay your fiber on top to catch the twist. Clockwise, lay it fiber underneath to catch the twist. It will catch it either way, it's just easier this way. It'll catch on quicker because it draws it into the twist quicker. So just make this nice mesh and then let it come on. So you can see how it makes a very fluffy yarn wrapping the core. That's going to trap a ton of air. It's going to make it very warm as well as fun. So this makes for great hats and cowls and scarves, all kinds of fun stuff. And you don't have to be very precise. If you want to make little loopy things, you just kind of bend your fiber a bit and then kind of wrap it to let it puff up. All right, now let's change press. I have here a bat of mixed fibers. This is carded, so it's going in all different directions. You can see how disorganized the fibers are. So for this, you can spin right off the end and it's going to be fluffy and fun. So we'll just get the fluff started. Just keep pulling. The trick is to be pulling 90 degrees to your core and letting it wrap on. You can control how tight it's wrapped by how you feed it on. You can make a very tightly wrapped core for a very thin yarn. You can make it ridiculously floofy by just grabbing more fiber and letting it go on quicker. I sort of go somewhere in the middle. I like to have little bumps and lumps because it's supposed to be a fun, fluffy yarn. So I sort of go for the middle ground with a few big lumps. Now you can see here how it's twisted. So if I was using this as a single, it would be over spun in that area. So, because of course it's the skinniest part, which is where the twist goes. So I apply this to kind of balance all that out and make an even fluffier, bumpier yarn, which for me is just great fun. So I'm going to keep doing this for a little bit longer. And then we can change preps again, and then we'll do a quick ply just to see what it looks like. Just remember, always 90-degree angle, then let it wrap your core. 90-degree angle, let it wrap your core. Pull out, let it wrap your core. This is a fast way to make lots of yardage. It's a fun way to work with your fibers. It's a good way to extend when you have a really pretty fiber. If you want to take the time to spin slowly and carefully and balance it, you can take an ounce of fiber and get some serious yardage out of it. You just want to make sure that when you pick your core, there's going to be places where it will show through. So you want to make sure that your core isn't something really ugly. I like this cream mohair. I think it's just blends in beautifully with whatever color I use. All right, so let's see. We'll switch to a different prep. Let me see what else I have back here. Okay, so this is what I call one of my scrap bats. So I usually have bits and bobs and tail ends and little pieces and dyeing experiments that didn't quite work out. So I take all those and I throw them through my drum carder. And I end up with these interesting blends that sometimes have like little pops of another color. There's some mohair in here. I don't even know what all is in here. I just carded it all together and I make what I call a scrap bat, which is perfect for this. Now, if you're working with a big chunk and you want to make it a little easier to handle, you can do a little bit of pre-drafting just to make it a little easier to manage, especially when you're first starting, because you don't want to end up with too big a blob. I don't go for even with this technique. You can be as even as you'd like. I just don't want even. My whole goal with this is to have something that's uneven and fluffy and chunky. Just pull out 90 degrees, let it wind down. You can use anything you'd like for the core, but try to go for something grippy. You don't want like a super smooth silk because it'll just slide all over the place and you'll end up with bare patches of yarn where your fiber might slide off. Silk is not a great choice for a core, but anything with a bit of grip is. You can use commercial, or you can hand spin your core if you want, or you can learn coreless core spinning, which I'll do in another video. Practice with this for a while. 90 degrees, let it wrap on. 90 degrees, let it wrap on. Okay, I'm going to try for a little bit of evenness so we can see what that works out like when you apply it. All right. 90 degrees, let it wrap on. And you can see I got a fairly strong uptake. I'm not feeding this into my orifice. I'm just letting it slide through my hand and it's feeding it on by itself because I'm using a fairly strong uptake. You don't want it to yank it away, but a little bit of hold back to keep it in your hand so that when you loosen that pressure, it just goes straight onto the wheel. Makes it really easy spin because you're not moving your hands a whole lot. Little pull out at 90 degrees, let it wind on, and I stop spinning evenly again because this is just how I do it. I'll spend hours just doing this and making yards and yards and yards of yarn while I watch TV. I finally started watching Downton Abbey, so I've been binge watching that. Or I listen to podcasts like King Falls AM, which, you know, rules the world. Or my world, anyways. Now, the other thing you can do is if you get a piece like this that's not really secured, there's no reason why you can't go back above it, attach your fiber, and just run over it again. And secure it. Wow, this is some really nice mohair. I don't know why this was in the scrap pile. Must have been a failed dye experiment because it's quite lovely. All right. So when you get to the end, save a little bit of fiber. I'm just going to move this because it's not pulling up as much as it should. And then go back to a normal spinning angle so that it's kind of spinning and plying at the same time around your core. And this will just give you a secure end. And then when you reach the end, just cut your core. Usually what I do is I just fold it back on itself just so that the spin doesn't escape too much. And feed it through my orifice. Now generally you're not going to have a whole lot of yardage on this, so I like to do an Andean ply bracelet, or whatever fancy name it's going by now. Wrap it around my thumb twice. Boy, you'd think I'd never done this before. Then go around the back of your hand, over your middle finger, and then back around the back of your hand. Leave lots of slack. You don't want it tight on your hand. Around your middle finger so you have the cross in your palm. Around the back of your hand. Around the middle finger so you have the cross in your palm. Around the back of your hand. Now if you do it a different way, that's fine. Do it however is comfortable for you. You can do a center pull ball so you can ply from the outside and the inside. I just find this works easiest for me. It's what I've become used to and accustomed to. And we're just doing a few yards here, so there's no sense in mucking about. All right, so take this off. Put our ends together. Oop. There we go. Got it a little too secure on my thumb. We'll put our ends together. There we go. Bring the wheel back around. So now we're plying. We're going to go in the opposite direction. So we want Z twist or to spin clockwise. Now our leader has been charged with S ply or counterclockwise twist. So we want to get the twist out of that and charge it with our Z twist clockwise. So you can see, this is why I like using a double color leader too, is you can quickly see which way your twist is going. So we'll just get our leader charged up. Now if you don't charge up your leader, all your twist is just going to escape into your leader. All right. So I take this off my finger, and now I have a bracelet. Actually, that'd make a pretty bracelet, except for that big lump in the middle. Don't worry, it's not going to tangle. So take your two ends and tie them onto your leader. Now let's see what kind of fun we get when we apply this back on itself. And you notice I didn't even try to match up colors. I just went with whatever came next. You want to use a very high uptake. I have Scotch tension, so I'm just going to crank that up a little bit so that you're actually bracing against the spin. Just let it twist. Look at color. I love color. I love wild colors. So what I do is I just pull back and pinch, let the twist into it, and then feed it onto the wheel. So I grab here, pull back, let the spin in, add a little more, pinch here, pull ahead, straighten and align my two plies, hold them back here, let the twist in, and then feed it onto the wheel. So pinch, pull your hand through the middle. I'm going to go twice this time. Align your two plies, because it's going to want to sometimes do this bunching up thing. So you want to align, have your tension even on both plies. You want an even balanced yarn, even if it's all floofy. So hold that back, start treadling, let the twist in, and feed it onto the wheel. Move your hand through the middle, pull back, even tension on the two plies. Hold on, I'm just going to move this ahead a bit. let the twist in, and then feed it onto your wheel. I found this works best because it allows me to tension my singles evenly. And then look, you get these little poofs. I love the poofs. The poofs entertain me to no end. Now, if you're a really particular spinner, this requires some surrendering to it being a fluffy, fun yarn, which I love. Sometimes you have it, feed it through your hooks because it'll get snagged, which is another reason to use a really high tension because it'll pull it through. So line up your plies, let the twist in, and feed it on. And then we get to the end, feed it on. Now, when I get to the end, I always just put a knot in it, just to kind of keep that twist in there. And then I fold it back on itself, put some extra twist in, fold it back on itself, and let it wrap on itself just to keep the twist from escaping. And I poke it through my orifice, and then we can pull it off the wheel and see what we have. So I only have a little, oh, make sure you release some of the tension on your wheel or you'll be trying to yank it off forever. I only have a little tiny nitty knotty, so this is my fancy nitty knotty. I go around my hand, around my foot. And for the few yards that I'm doing here, it's perfectly fine. Now I'll get this off. There we go. Well, look, it worked out so I can tie my ends together. Now, I literally just did a couple yards. I mean, I've been spinning, what, 5 minutes here? And then what you end up with is this fluffy yarn in multicolors. You can have some fun with it. You can do 2 of them and ply them together if you wanted to get like a whole skein like this yellow-purple combo, which is kind of nice. Or this purpley blue-green combo. And it's so fluffy, like so fluffy. If you knit, you will need next to nothing to make a scarf or a cowl or a hat. It's a lot of fun, but you do have to surrender to it not being perfect. Although you can sit there and learn how to be perfect if you want. So that's it for today. That was a quick lesson on core spinning. Hope you enjoyed it. Just try it.